Hi, my name is Laura Sandoval, and I am a second-year student at Harvard Business School. To share a little bit about me, I was born in Queens, New York, still have family there, was raised earlier in my childhood in Lima, Peru, which is where pretty much all of my family is from, and spent most of my schooling in South Florida and Central Florida. So South Florida is where I did middle school through high school, and Central Florida is where I went to undergrad. University of Florida, go Gators. At the University of Florida, I majored in marketing and I minored in Portuguese. And during my time there, I knew pretty early on that I wanted to go into business. And so right after graduating from the UF, I went over to Minneapolis, Minnesota, so packed my bags from sunny Florida and moved up north to work at General Mills in a marketing communications role. That was a lot of fun, and I ended up actually being in that role for about a year before switching over to a more sales, marketing fused type of role and moved over to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So after 2.5 years with General Mills in both Minnesota and in Pennsylvania, I decided that it was time for something different. I wanted to transition to a much smaller company, see what that was like, and try out e-commerce. And so the role that I actually ended up going for was an e-commerce strategy role with a supplements company called Zarbee's Naturals. And after about a year or so with that company, it actually got acquired by Johnson & Johnson. But all in all, the experience was really fun, but it was just interesting to see how I went from one big company in the consumer goods space to another big company in the consumer goods space. So during my time at Zarbee's Naturals, I was doing some reflecting and figured that it was probably best for me to go back to school, just given some certain aspirations that I had and some specific reasons for why it made sense to go back to school that I'll share in a little bit. And so now I find myself here at Harvard Business School. And right now, this is, you can see a little bit of it, but this is my on-campus apartment. The cool thing about HBS is that they have both dorms and apartments on campus. So it's extremely convenient to pretty much either visit a friend or, study somewhere that's not in your apartment or take classes. So that's been a huge blessing in itself. Just to step a little bit outside of, career and all of that, just to share a little bit of interests of mine. I'm very passionate about social impact. As someone who grew up low income and someone who is a first generation college student, it was very important for me to help others with similar backgrounds reach their own definition of success, be it academic, personal, and I felt that given what I'd lived through and what I've accomplished, that I could help be a guiding light and a guiding source to someone who may be struggling. And so I founded a nonprofit a few years back, and that has been such a joy and delight to be involved with in kind of helping others with similar backgrounds as mine, hopefully achieve some of their dreams. So that's social impact. I'm also interested and passionate about sustainability, specifically consuming less in terms of waste and generating less waste. So I'm not perfect at it, but to the best of my ability, I try wherever I can to bring my reusable bamboo utensils, my reusable water bottle. I try to bring reusable totes with me to the grocery store. So here and there, wherever I can, just to leave a positive imprint on this planet, I try and do my part. So you may be wondering, why did I go ahead and pursue my MBA? So there are a few reasons why, and there's actually 3 specifically. So I'll start with the first. The first reason was because I wanted to improve my business acumen. So while I majored in business courses in undergrad, I didn't quite remember anything or retained anything that I had learned, which is pretty sad, but it's the truth. And so I felt that going back to school would enable me to relearn some concepts and overall just sharpen my business toolkit. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is more so around the network. So having grown up first gen and low income, I don't really have a network, you could say. I mean, I know some people, but not really a network, not really folks that I could lean on for mentorship, guidance, business advice. And so I felt that in going to a well-regarded MBA program, that I'd be able to expansively just like multiply that network tenfold, perhaps meet folks from all over the world, from all folks of life, and potentially help each other out. We'll see kind of how that ends up going, but I have dreams of being an entrepreneur someday, and I think that having this network will definitely be helpful for that. So that was reason number 2. Reason number 3 is more alongside the lens of just social impact. And so given that I am, a college graduate, and I come from the background that I come from, I felt that it was great to have, the fact that I am a college graduate, but I also feel like I needed an extra stamp, or a stamp of approval, if you will, in having an MBA degree, an extra layer of credibility, given that I am, not just a woman, but a woman of color. And, it's just something that I feel is really, really important for me to have, in terms of just helping to influence others, create impact, but also to some extent, hopefully be taken seriously in the workplace and things like that. So those are the 3 primary drivers for wanting to pursue an MBA in general. And so applied to several schools, got some great news from several of them, and ultimately decided on HBS. So why HBS specifically? Oh man, several reasons. So I'll start with the first, and this one's, you might say it's a cop-out, but it's so true. The people here are phenomenal. And I think when I first received my acceptance letter, I was a little skeptical. I wasn't sure who or what I would encounter here. And I was extremely pleasantly surprised when I stepped foot here for Admitted Students Weekend. I mean, the atmosphere was so warm. People were just extremely lovely to get to know. People wanted to get to know me, and were willing to share their own stories. And that translated over into the actual MBA experience itself. So my first year of school, I mean, just how vulnerable people let themselves be about the things that they'd gone through, or the thoughts that they have percolating in their mind. It's just been absolutely incredible to get insight into these amazing people's lives. And I've developed really incredible friendships that I think I'll carry on for years and years to come. So people is definitely number 1. Number 2, I would have to say the case method for sure. The case method is definitely not super widely used amongst many business schools, but it's something that's just been part of HBS's heritage and HBS's teaching style since the beginning of its inception, really. And I think I found it quite effective in multiple courses. When I'm thinking through just some of the courses that I've taken over these past 2 years, leadership, our leadership course called Lead, it was really, really amazing for the case style method in facilitating conversations among different section mates. So that's been fun. The third reason, and this one's kind of practical, but I really love that HBS is in its own kind of campus. And so you feel very well insulated and guarded from everything else kind of happening. It's like all the distractions of like a big city, are completely barred off. And so it's nice to be in a little bubble where it's just literally your classmates, the faculty and staff, and it's like you're in your own little world for 2 years, which is pretty interesting and pretty fun. There is tons to do here at HBS, and given the COVID environment that we're in, I won't get into all the travel that we did because that'll make me sad, but the extracurriculars here are fantastic. There's literally just about anything and everything you can imagine being involved with. There's a wine club, there's tons of different sporting clubs, there are cultural affinity groups, and of course your career-related clubs from VCPE to consulting, etc. And so some of what I was involved with / still am involved with, number 1, the Women's Student Association. So the WSA is amazing. They host these really awesome year-end reviews for your first year. Really, really great to kind of just catch up to speed on all the concepts that you've learned your first year and really cement them before final exams. But my involvement with the WSA last year was as part of the events team, and that was fun in helping to bring different events to campus that would be beneficial to the women on campus and whichever of the men wanted to join in. I was able to bring in an alum who runs personal finance courses, and she was able to kind of run a course for some of the students here, so that was fun. Another organization that I'm actively involved in is the Latino Student Organization. And that group is just a blast. Like, it literally feels like home away from home. And my involvement with them last year was through as a diversity and inclusion rep. So I would effectively meet with other leaders from different cultural groups on campus, and we would talk through diversity and inclusion initiatives, concerns, thoughts, and ideas. So that was great. And then the third organization that I was involved with was the Marketing and Advertising Club. So given my background coming from marketing, but also my interest in marketing as well, I wanted to remain involved in that club. I know that they bring in some really cool and interesting speakers, so that's been fun to get involved with. But last year I actually helped plan a conference. And so what was fun about this is that I got to pretty much craft my own panel. And I talked a little bit about social impact. And I was actually able to kind of create a panel where I merged the world of social impact and consumer packaged goods. So it was great to bring speakers from Reebok, for example, was there, as well as a few others from really interesting companies to speak on their experience. So that was really fun to be a part of. As far as classes go, it's interesting because your first year, it's pretty much what's called RC, required curriculum. So you don't choose any of your classes your first year. It's pretty much all handed to you. So your first year, you take, your typical classes like finance, accounting, marketing, strategy, technology and operations management, and you take them with your section mates. And I don't know if I mentioned section mates earlier, but think of them as like cohort of people that you take all of your classes with your first year, and these essentially become people that you get to know very, very well throughout the year, because it's literally you and them, 93 other thems, in one room. So all the jokes, all the comments, like, you get to know each other very well. But back to what I was saying, you're taking these really interesting classes with these groups of folks, and it's pretty much like a general management overview of anything and everything under business that you'd want to know and want to learn about. So that's first year. Second year, which is what I know, you have a lot more flexibility and freedom to choose your curriculum. So for me, I'm taking a few entrepreneurial courses and then 2 kind of very popular courses at HBS. So I'm taking negotiations, which is super fun. We've actually gotten the chance to negotiate in person, obviously socially distanced and with masks on, but that's been really fun. The second class is Building Sustainable and Successful Enterprises, BSSE for short. And that's been really great. That class is the legacy of Clay Christensen's, a very well-regarded professor. And that class is just chock full of frameworks that I know I will carry with me. I'm going to save so many notes on that class and take with me and apply to whatever business scenario I'm in the workforce for years and years to come. And then the 3 entrepreneurial classes that I'm taking, one is Entrepreneurial Finance, and that's been really interesting to learn a little bit more about cap tables, financing structures, what motivates a VC, things like that. So that's been great. Founder's Journey is another entrepreneurial course I've been taking, and that's been around just the founder's entrepreneurial journey, the ups and downs, the roller coaster. We've gotten some really interesting guest speakers to come to class, obviously virtually, but to speak to us about, what they've gone through. And that's been super, super enlightening as I seek to pursue an entrepreneurial career path later on down the line. And another class that I've taken is Law Management and Entrepreneurship. And that's been interesting, super practical class in terms of providing, legal jargon and how to apply some legal concepts to, issues that may come about in founding a new company, and other kind of business situations as well that weren't necessarily entrepreneurially focused. The last class that I'm taking is actually a new one offered this year. It's called Conversations on Leadership. And this is a unique class. They've never offered it before, but it essentially is an opportunity for us to get together with our section again and listen to some really amazing HBS alum and leaders that I'm sure you all would recognize. Folks from, Mitt Romney to Katrina Lake, who's the founder of Stitch Fix, to, just Sheryl Sandberg, really, really incredible people. And they get to share a little bit about their leadership philosophies and their walks in life throughout their leadership journey. So that's been great to be able to just discuss and hear everyone's own personal leadership philosophies and how they plan to take away certain things and apply certain things to their lives. So that's been pretty fun. So what's next for me? Man, I can't believe I am already nearing the end of my business school experience. It happens so fast. So I guess a big piece of advice I would leave for you is just treasure each moment, live it day at a time, because it's over in a blink of an eye. I literally can't believe my fall semester is almost over. But that said, I am really excited about my, what's to come. So I will be going into consulting right after school. I'll be joining McKinsey & Company, which will be really exciting and something very different from what I'm used to. So that'll be fun. And, we'll see from there. I mentioned again, hopes of becoming an entrepreneur someday. We'll see where the road takes us. But for now, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the next few months I have left of being an HBS student. So now I'm going to take you through a day in my life of, being an HBS student. Hope you find it interesting. Hope you enjoy, and see you in a little bit. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend, just as I did. I'm really looking forward to taking you all through a day in the life as a Harvard Business School student. So typically when I wake up, I go ahead and head straight to making coffee or tea first because I need that little pick-me-up. And then after that, I start reading some cases. Sometimes I haven't touched a case over the weekend, so I have to start from, the first class. Other times I'm a little ahead than that, and I start from class number 3. So I start reading some cases. After that, I make breakfast for myself and for my fiance, and then I get ready for the day. I either throw on some workout clothes if I plan on working out that day, or I change into regular clothes. And some people may laugh because, classes are virtual now, or they were hybrid earlier in the semester, but now they're virtual. But I actually have to step out of my apartment. I have an interview room in the Spangler Center, which is one of the buildings on HBS's campus. And the little interview room is almost like my personal office, if you will, that I was granted this semester because my fiance, who is also an HBS student but took a leave of absence for the year, he has an internship, and so he's on calls most of the day. It's best for me to not be here so that we're not hearing each other speak while I'm in class or while he's in a meeting. So I get ready for my day. Mondays I have a class called Founder's Journey. Then I have a class called Negotiations, and I top it off with Law Management and Entrepreneurship. So classes range for me from 10:30 a.m. and they finish off at 4. Pretty much back to back. I have 20 to 40 minutes of a break in between, so it's nice to have a little breather room to, check my email, go on a phone call my family, my sister, etc. Or just knock off some things on my agenda, easy things. So after class, I typically come back home. I make myself a super late lunch / early dinner. After that, I start reading some cases, answering emails, texts that I haven't been able to get through throughout the day. And then after that, I try to sneak in a quick workout. So if it is a day where I plan to work out, I do that for about half an hour. Then I get ready for bed and work on some internship stuff before heading to bed. So I spend a few hours, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about that. And then hopefully ending my day at a reasonable time so that I have a decent amount of sleep ahead of the next day. Hope you guys enjoy walking through life with me today. So my chai is all done, ready to be sipped, and I have my case here on IPO. This is for my law management and entrepreneurship class. Let me turn this camera around really quick. So yeah, it's one of those days where I just want to read in bed and be cozy. But yeah, the case today is actually about 11 pages long or so, so hopefully it doesn't take me too long to read through. Seems a little interesting, so hopefully I get a few things out of it. But I have my highlighter handy and my pen to mark up some notes and be ready to make a comment in class, hopefully. So I'll see you guys in a bit. So I'm done with cases, and now I made myself a nice hearty breakfast to start my Monday morning, and I'm about to answer some emails, read through some news, and yeah. So I'm all dressed in my workout clothes since I do plan on working out today, and now I'm ready to head over to class. So walk over with me to Spangler Center where I'll be taking my classes for the day. See you guys in a bit. So it's almost 10:30 a.m. here before the start of my first class called Founder's Journey. So I'm in a little room outside of my apartment. Essentially, students were granted access to what are called interview rooms in case they wanted to take class in a space that was a little bit more private. I do live with my partner, and he is in meetings throughout the day, so it was great that I was able to snag one of these rooms. So I typically spend the entire class time, I would say Monday through Friday, in here in this interview room, just so I have that ability to be as loud as I need to be and not have to disturb anyone. So my first class for today is Founder's Journey, and essentially this class goes over the different journeys, if you will, of the entrepreneur: the good, the bad, the the stressful, all of that. And given that I am interested in pursuing a career in entrepreneurship, I figured this class would be really interesting to get some of those, firsthand experiences shared from founders that are HBS alum and non-HBS alum. We've had some really interesting speakers come to class, just share a little bit about what they went through, and it made me do a lot of thinking and a lot of reflecting on, whether this journey is something that I would be fit for. But all in all, really great class. Today we are presenting on TED Talks. We had an assignment where we had to do like a mini TED Talk on a subject of our choosing, and I chose a subject around diversity and inclusion in the founder and funder space. So it'll be interesting to kind of get folks' take on each other's TED Talks, speak a little bit more broadly around the entrepreneurial journey as we get close to the near end of the semester. So it should be an interesting day. I have that first lined up. I then have negotiations at 12:40, law management and entrepreneurship at 2:40, and then finishing my day of school work essentially with 5 p.m. meeting with my team members for my Entrepreneurial Finance class. So pretty busy day today, but not terrible. My class starts in a minute, so I'll see you guys soon. All right, so I just wrapped up my Founder's Journey class, and right after class, I went up to the second floor to pick up my COVID test for the week. Given that I am on campus, and all students who are on campus are required to test at the bare minimum twice a week. So it's been great and a huge blessing to have accessibility to these tests so frequently. So I have these picked up, and I have negotiations next at 12:40. So right now I typically take a look at my agenda. So here's kind of a little clue in of my to-do list. I put little stickers on it to make it fun. But I have a little bit of time and a gap before my next class. So I'm likely going to just start working on my paper for my Building Successful and Sustaining Enterprises class, BSSE for short. We have a paper that's due on Friday. It's a group paper, so I'm working with another classmate, and essentially we're focusing on the intersection of fashion and technology, and using Stitch Fix as kind of the example company in which we'll explore that intersection. So I have the first part of the paper completed. I just need to get the remaining parts completed. So I'll be spending some time working on that right now for my next class. So I just wrapped up my negotiations class, and just to give you all a little inside view, typically with my negotiations class, I was virtual today, but when things were in hybrid mode, there were days where I would show up in class and there'd be about 19 or so other students in class as well, and we would get a topic, and we'd have a case essentially that we'd read the night before. We are assigned roles, and then we're off to negotiate, and we typically do it outside so that it's still in person and face-to-face, but is also socially distanced. So the class has been really, really fun, and I think has shown me some areas of strength, but also definitely some opportunity areas when it comes to negotiating. So that's been really fun, just being able to self-reflect a little bit on my own negotiating style and how I can improve upon that. So the next class that I have coming up now, and this class will start at 2:40 p.m., is my Law Management and Entrepreneurship course. And the case that we're reading today and kind of discussing in class is around IPOs. So that should be pretty fun and pretty interesting. Our law professor is a very dynamic person. He really cares about the law and really enjoys teaching it, as we can kind of tell from the classroom setting. So it should be a good conversation. Really excited to kind of share my thoughts on the case. And then after that, I will be walking back home. I do have a group project meeting at around 5, but between the end of my Law Management and Entrepreneurship class and the 5 p.m. meeting, I'll probably make myself a super, super late lunch, given that I've been in this little interview room for hours on end, and take it from there. About to join my law class. This is kind of how it looks, our dashboard for Canvas. I'm going to click into it, and we typically press the little Zoom button to join. So I will see you guys soon. Hey guys, so I finished my Law Management and Entrepreneurship class, and now I am finally back home. I am going to go ahead and start on some deliverables and work that I have for my internship, and that's something that I haven't talked about yet. So this fall semester, I am interning with a VC firm out in LA, and that's been really interesting in terms of giving me an overview of what it's like to work in the VC space, specifically with a venture capital firm that is in early stage, early fund, and has a mandate that's focused on investing in diverse founders. So that's been really cool, since that's something that I'm definitely interested in. And so it's been fun. I've been exploring an investment space that the company is curious about. So I've been doing some research, if you will, there, and spending some of my days just, looking up different companies, sourcing deals, et cetera. So I'm going to work on that for a little bit before I go ahead and join the rest of my team for our group call for our Entrepreneurial Finance class. Hey guys, so my meeting went well. We got some great progress done on our final project for Entrepreneurship Finance class. Essentially, we're consulting a business, a startup, that was founded by an HBS alum. Really, really cool business model. And so we have to do a write-up essentially on the company and answer a few financial questions related to the company, and then submit our assignment. So that's not due for another week, so we still have some time there. So given that we do have some time, I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy a nice workout. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Hey guys, so it's close to 9 p.m. I have my case here to read for tomorrow and my hot chocolate handy with the marshmallows. About to play some classical music and then head to bed. Thank you guys for following me throughout my day. Hope you guys found it interesting, and bye.